What's going on, and welcome back to another edition of Can It Tow? So if you caught my previous Can It Tow video, I reviewed our 2016 Ford Explorer Sport and how it towed my then Coyote swapped Fox body from South Carolina to Tennessee for Ford Takeover. So today I'm going to do another Can It Tow review of a 2020 F150 with the 3.3 liter V6 engine, and we're starting right now. So what I'll be doing in this video is going over the truck itself, how it is optioned, then the trip details, and along the way I'll give my thoughts and impression. So let's get started. Okay, so first of all, details on the truck. This is a 2020 F150 Crew Cab with the 3.3 liter V6 engine. So here we have the engine itself. Kind of small and still lots of room in there. I'm used to the Coyote engine because my truck is a 2016 with the Coyote, and mine is a Super Crew. So this one, like I said, is the Crew Cab. So with that, you get obviously full-size front doors, but you get kind of these little short doors in the rear. So let me open that up, show you how that works real quick. So we're going to pull the front door open, and you're going to reach in here to this handle, pull it, and that opens that. Now, my impressions on that, like I said, mine is a 2016 Super Crew Cab, and it has 4 full-size doors. This, you have the full front, and like I said, the short back door. Because there is less room in the rear of this with the Crew Cab than there is with the Super Crew. So in traveling, I very much prefer the Super Crew. You get a lot more room in the back, and for carrying whatever luggage, whatever you've got. For me, I carried a lot of stuff, and I was very concerned with the room in this truck, but we got it all to fit between the truck and the car. So we made it work. But yes, the Super Crew Cab is a heck of a lot better for traveling. As you can see, you can pull this up. Seats come down, and I believe these seats are shorter front to back here than in the Super Crew. So that's another reason, in my opinion, to get a Super Crew, is because you have larger seats. And also with this truck, it does have the spray-in bed liner, which my truck has as well. I do recommend getting an F-150 that has this. That way you don't have any, weak plastic stuff or anything like that that's gonna warp over time or degrade. I love how they offer this spray-in bed liner. That is actually a very good option on these trucks, in my opinion. This one does not have the bed lighting. Mine does. That's also a very convenient option. Not necessary, but it does help if you're working in the dark. Now over to the driver's side here. As you can see, same as the passenger as far as how the doors open. There's the door, and this side as well. Pull that, and the seat comes down. This is I think a 60-40 split, I believe what they call this rear seat. Mine has that as well, but like I said, it is a Super Crew, and it has, I believe the bottom of the seat is actually a little bit further out. I do believe so, because as you can see, compared to the front seat, the rear seat is a lot shorter on the seat cushion itself. But that can push up. Luckily, we only had 3 people. traveling, so we were able to use the smaller seat over there and this area to, store stuff and whatnot. So now moving on, this truck did come with a tow package, not a full tow package, but it says on the window sticker, it says tow mod. So I'm not sure exactly what all that entails, but it did come with the hitch, and I will show you that. But it also comes pre-wired for a brake controller. Now, what you're gonna need for that, now as you can see, I have the brake controller down here. The reason it is on the floor is because this is a loaner truck. So to give a little bit of backstory, my truck is at the dealer for warranty repair. So that is why I have this truck doing this review. So I needed a brake controller for my trailer. So I did have to purchase a wiring harness. It's plug and play. It's already wired. It's got a plug back there, and that plug is going to be back behind that little tray right there. It's actually plugged to the back of the tray. That tray is molded plastic for that plug, and it's on there. All you have to do is you have to remove some of the under dash here, whatever you want to call this, but you pull it loose. There's a metal plate back there. You'll drop it down, reach in, grab the plug, pull it out, and then you can plug in the adapter, and then the adapter plugs into the brake controller. Now this is very convenient. I do like that feature, but it would be cool if they would just go ahead and include the factory Ford brake controller, which is what would go in that cubby, that little tray there. It would be cool if they just go ahead and include that, but they didn't. No big deal. But I had the brake controller already. I just had to buy the harness. It wasn't that much. It was like less than 15 bucks. So not a big deal, but it would have been convenient if they had, the factory controller. Now, one other thing. Now, this truck doesn't have navigation. Obviously, that's kind of a, a downfall there, but not a big deal. I use my phone anyway. It does have Sync 3. So you could use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So not too big of a deal there. But I do want to show this. This is a 12 volt power source. In my truck, I have a 12 volt source plus a 110 volt outlet. So my truck has a power converter, which would go right there under the rear passenger seat. So that's what my truck has. This truck doesn't have it. I did want to say that is a very convenient feature that I do like and wish this truck would have had it. Because if you have a cell phone that you need to keep charged or rapidly charged, these 12 volt outlets are not going to do it unless you buy a car charger that's going to put out a lot of voltage or a lot of wattage, and that's what I had to do. So a little bit inconvenient there, but we made do, and we were able to get by. So moving on. So at the back of the truck here, you can see the hitch. It is already there, and you've got the plugs there for the 4-way connection or a 7-way connection. And let's see, you also have this key lock here. Yeah, it's very convenient that it's got the hitch already, obviously, because I'd be towing, and it's wired already for the trailer. Now, with this truck, like I said, it's got the 3.3 liter V6. It is not an EcoBoost. It does not have a turbo, twin turbos, anything. So it's just a 3.3 liter. I'm not sure of the horsepower. I'll probably have to look it up, but I think it's somewhere around the 290 range, I believe. I can double check and throw up the information here in some text for you. But like I said, 3.3 liter V6. In my opinion, this engine is not made to tow. It just does not provide the horsepower and torque necessary to tow a decent load. So in my opinion, you want an EcoBoost. I would suggest a 3.5 liter twin turbo like what we have in our Ford Explorer. It makes a lot of torque, and it is rated at a much higher towing capacity. Or the V8 Coyote, which is also rated at a higher capacity, no matter the trim of the truck. Now, I mentioned the trim level of the truck as far as towing goes. let's talk about this one. This one has a 355 rear gear. So, as far as I could tell, looking it up, the trucks with the V6, the standard V6, can come optioned with either a 355 or a 373 rear gear. Now, towing capacity with the 355, I've found that it's around 5,000 pounds. Now, with a 373 rear gear, it's rated at 7,000 pounds. Now, for my trailer and load everything in the truck that we took with us, you know, you want to add all that in. So with what I was towing, I was probably towing around 6,000 pounds or so. This truck has a 355 gears. It's rated at 5,000 pounds. Now, you might say, well, you were overloaded. Yes, in the aspect of towing capacity because of the rear gear. But as far as the truck, the frame, the structure of the truck itself, I wasn't too worried about it as far as the load. The main concern is the engine producing enough power and torque to tow that kind of load, and the transmission, keeping it cool. There are options for transmission coolers, I believe that I saw. So this one doesn't have it, unfortunately. Okay, so to give you a quick look at what I was towing, this is my 2016 Mustang GT. It probably weighs somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,600 to 3,700 pounds. The trailer is a steel deck trailer, tandem axle, trailer brakes, dovetail. It's 18 foot, all that stuff. The trailer itself, I believe, weighs about 2,100 pounds. So we are pushing 6,000 pounds easy with everything that we carried along with the car and trailer. So it's a pretty decent load, and I wanted to show you actually what we were pulling so that you can get a better idea of what you can tow, possibly with this truck, what you can or can't tow, I should say. But like I said, here's a quick look of the load that we're towing so that you get a better idea. Like I said, a dovetail trailer, it's all steel deck. There you go, in my 2016 Mustang GT. So having said all that, let's cut to the trip details. Let me tell you a little bit about the trip, how far we went, and you know, where we went to, the type of terrain, stuff like that. We'll talk about the trip, and then we'll come back to my final thoughts on the entire experience of towing with a 2020 3.3 liter V6 F150. So I'll throw some pictures up here of the miles per gallon and the total mileage that we traveled with the truck. Now that is going to include the trip there, the trip back, and wherever we drove the truck while we were there. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the mileage. We got 13.3 miles per gallon total. That is the total trip. It includes driving there, driving back, and anywhere in between. So not bad. I believe my Coyote F150 gets around about the same. So that is not terrible at all. I'm actually pleased by the mileage. That is not bad. Now the total time for the trip was 19 hours, 46 minutes, and 54 seconds. That's just for reference. You know, it doesn't really come into play, you know, for anything, but that is the actual runtime of the truck, just for an FYI. And then total miles traveled was 933.6 miles. That is a total trip, like I said, going there, coming back, and anything in between. Okay, so what are my final thoughts on the truck? It's not a bad truck if you're doing mostly, say, in-town light towing. If you're doing mostly that kind of thing, not major trips. The cab is kind of small compared to a Super Crew, obviously. Now, if you are just traveling lightly, not towing anything, it's a good truck for that. But for my intended purpose, let's talk about that. Towing 6,000 pounds or so load, I would not recommend this truck. There were times we didn't go through any mountains, but there were times that we had some very hilly areas and it kind of struggled. There were several occasions where it had to downshift quite a few gears and the RPM would get up to 5,000, 5,500 RPM, something like that, just to climb a hill. So the torque is not there with this engine. In my opinion, this engine should not be in a truck. I mean, I don't understand, not of this size, we'll say it that way. A truck this size, I don't think this engine really applies well. So the 3.5 liter EcoBoost with the twin turbos, excellent for towing. The Coyote, very good for towing. I do believe the EcoBoost probably does better. I've got a few friends with EcoBoost F150s and they say they tow great. They make more torque than the Coyote engine. I don't know too much about the smaller EcoBoost, which I believe is a 2.7. Somebody can correct me in the comments, but I believe it's a 2.7. I can't really say anything about that because I don't have any experience or know anybody that has one. So in my opinion, like I said, this truck is not made for heavy towing. Did it make the trip? Yes. Would I recommend it? No, because you struggle. It made the trip longer. It made it, it caused us to take a little bit longer on the trip. The GPS said it was like a 6.5 hour trip and it took us, I would say, average about 8 hours. So total trip length one way about 8 hours. GPS says 6.5. So if we would have had my truck, we probably could have cut that time down because we wouldn't have struggled with some of the hills that we went through. Plus, my truck does have the higher capacity fuel tank. We could have made the whole trip in one shot. This truck, we had to stop for gas and gas up. Not a big deal, but that does add time to the trip. So anyway, like I said, final thoughts on the 2020 F-150 Crew Cab with a 3.3 liter V6 engine. Do I recommend it for towing? No, I don't. Is it a good truck? I believe it's a good truck for its intended purpose, which I believe would be more of just light duty, not much towing or very light towing. So there are my final thoughts on the F-150. Hope this helps you if you're looking to buy a truck and are looking at a more base model truck. This one, I believe, stickers around 42,000, which is, man, I think that's kind of up there for this truck, but it does have some features that are good. So I can understand some of that price, but I think it should be priced a little bit lower. But that's a whole nother subject there. So anyway, like I said, I hope this helps you out if you're looking for an F-150 and what trim levels you are looking at if you're going to consider some decent towing. So with that said, thanks for watching. Hope you like this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, and please do so, and we'll see you on the next one.